Okay, so we're gonna finish creating this drawing here, and I'm just gonna pull up our drawing assignment in PDF format so that we can look at that. And again, I think most of you, not most of you, but a lot of you have turned this in, so this may be a little redundant, but I think it's always good to see what methods I use to do things so they can be helpful to you when you do things in the future. All right, so just a recap here, right? Things that I have done to this file to get it working for me. I started with a blank file, and I created some layers, right? And I created those layers according to, the CAD standard, National CAD standard. I assigned them colors, which will inherently or eventually build in a line weight to these lines. I defined a text style, an annotative text style. I defined an annotative dimension style. I changed the units and precision in this file. So just as a reminder, units, decimal degrees, architectural, and 1/32. Okay, so I created those. I came over here to my paper space and I set my paper space up. So I right clicked and I chose Page Setup Manager, and I created an 8.5 by 11-inch portrait PDF. Okay. I also created some blocks in here. So I created this door block, double door block, and I created a door tag for it. I created a single door and I have a door tag here. There's also a title block in here. I don't have all of the blocks required for this assignment, but I have quite a few of them. Okay. Today what I'll do is I'll finish most of this drawing up. I'm going to create a window block with an attribute. We'll do that quickly. I'll add the dimensions. I'm going to create a new layer and add in this millwork here. I'll add the rest of the doors in. And then maybe I'll steal some of these blocks from a file that I have. So I might do that so that we can place those. I'm going to open up a second session of AutoCAD on my hidden screen to pull up my blocks. And then I'll talk about, I want to talk about where the design center is. That's something that everybody always wants to use and they kind of forget where it is. And in fact, I will say where it is now just in case I forget at the end. But hopefully at the end I want to go and grab the computer and the phone so that we can use those as well. So the design center is located if you type AD Center, and that stands for Architectural Design Center, AD Center. Okay, so if I type that and I hit enter, this screen pops up. All right, and the hardest thing about this is finding the location of these blocks. Okay, so if you click on this PC, default C, program files, Autodesk, and then we have AutoCAD 2020. We go all the way down here to sample, EN, US, Design Center. That's where all of these blocks are located. Okay. If you accidentally click on something else here, which I've done every now and again, and it just messes everything up, and it's very hard to get back to where you were if you click on something. So I'm just going to maybe minimize this menu over here, and in fact, I think I'm just going to close it so that I don't even see it, so that I don't have the opportunity to, get out of my blocks here. To use these blocks, it's pretty easy, and in fact, I'm just going to bring in the computer and the phone block right now, and I can't quite remember which one that's in. I'm going to see, maybe in Home Space Planner. That looks about right. So I'm going to click and drag it over into Model Space, click, enter, 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 and there are my blocks. Okay, click and hold, drag it over, click, enter, 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 and I have my blocks in here. Now I'm just going to minimize or auto hide this design center, and I'm going to look at this set of blocks. Okay, so each of these different pieces in here, the table, the chair, they're all individual blocks, but they've all been, after they were individually blocked, they were blocked again into a big block, which is called a nested block, right? A block that's been blocked again, that's called a nested block. Okay, and there are a lot of different cases where that makes sense, where there's maybe you know, a lot of pieces to something and you want them all to be cohesive and together, it would make sense to block a block, and this is a case where that makes sense. So these are all one block. I'm going to explode them to be able to make it to make the individual blocks accessible to me. So I'm going to type or click on explode here, grab my block, hit enter, and now each of these is just an individual block. Okay, and by bringing this whole block in here and then exploding it, I want to show you something. Okay, insert, insert. You're going to see that all of those blocks are now individually in here, because by exploding that one, that automatically inserted all of those blocks into my AutoCAD file. Okay, so now all of those blocks are, I mean, they were already in here in the Design Center, right? But now they're living inside of this AutoCAD file. Okay, so there's my computer terminal, copy machine chair, you know, all that good stuff that we'll need. Okay, so that's where the Design Center is, and we're going to use a few of those. Okay, let me finish drawing kind of the basic architecture of this, and we'll see how far we get with creating maybe the furniture blocks. I don't want to spend the entire time today, you know, finishing this up. I want to get into XREFs. Okay, so I do want to talk about that today. All right, so I have a door here, I have a door here. That looks good. I need to place a door here, so I'm going to finish placing my door, and then I'm going to create my window blocks. Okay. Oh, it looks like I did create one. Maybe I created them both, and I don't remember. So I need to place a door here, and I'm just going to zoom in there real quick and take a look at it. So this door is 4 inches from the wall. So there's two ways I can get the door. I can type I for insert. I can go up to insert block, but I could also just take this one and I could copy it, right? Easy enough. CO, enter. I move it out into space. Okay, here's something that I think beginning students need to know as well. You don't always have to get your object to the right spot the first time. Okay, a lot of times you'll see me take something, move it or copy it, then manipulate it, and then move it into place. Okay, I think that there's a somewhat of a level of, we'll call it stress, right, that comes when you take this object and you get it over here to the wall. You get really stressed out and you think, I have to get it in the right spot, and if I don't get it in the right spot, then it's not going to be correct, and I'm, you know, going to miss points on my assignment or not do well on my project or whatever, right? But that's not the case. AutoCAD is very, very, you can manipulate it very easily, right? So you'll see me copy things. You know, in this case, it needs to be rotated or mirrored. I'll place it where it needs to go, and then we'll move from there. Now, last time we met, when I created, when I placed this door and the door just above it, I made a hole in the wall, and then I placed the door in it. Okay, I'm going to place the door in the spot it needs to go this time, and then I'm going to make the hole where it needs to live in the wall. Okay, so we can do that. We can place doors or windows a couple of different ways. All right, so I'm going to take this door and I'm going to rotate it. Click RO, enter. And I'm going to turn my ortho on so I can get a straight line. F8, shortcut key. Click. That looks good. It's the right orientation, but now I need to mirror it, right? So MI, enter, enter, click, and I'm going to erase source object, yes, click. Okay, so that looks pretty good. My text doesn't look quite right. We're going to deal with that in a second, okay? But now I have my door and it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to move it over here into place. It's 4 inches away from this exterior wall. So I'm going to grab this, M for move, enter. I zoom in there, I grab that endpoint. I turn my ortho off, F8, right? I turn ortho on and off 50 times, you know, an hour probably. On, off, on, off. I move this over to the corner, actually right there, click. And then you think, well, yeah, but it doesn't live on that corner. And you're right. But I didn't, you know, I could have used the from command and I could have, you know, moved it into the right spot, but I wanted to do it this way to show you, right, that I placed it, but I didn't quite get it in the right spot. So now I'm going to grab it again, M for move, enter, click, move in the direction I want to go, press F8 again to get a straight move, and type 4, enter, and now it's where it needs to be. Okay. Now I need to create an opening in the wall for it. So I'm going to draw a line, L, enter, and I draw past, right? I could have L for line, click, drawn, and hit my perpendicular snap and done that as well. Okay, but I already know, thinking ahead, that I'm going to have to trim out these pieces. So what's another trim over here, right? I'm going to hit undo. You know, this is sort of quicker for me than L for line, click, go slowly over to the wall, hit perpendicular, click. Maybe a millisecond quicker, but you know, everything counts. So L for line, click, click, escape. Okay. So now I have this wall here that's still occurring, and I have these two tail pieces that need to be trimmed off. And I'm going to use the trim command to get this looking the way it needs to. And one thing I want to point out is that the reason that I'm able to now use the trim command and feel confident using it is because my door and my door tag here they're protected by blocking them. And what I mean by that is if I use the trim command now, this block is going to be left alone. Even if I hit it with the trim command, because it's in the block, nothing will happen to it. No pieces will disappear. I'm just going to be able to trim and not have this door be affected. Okay, so now I can TR, enter, enter. I grab those edges, click. I grab those, click, and everything trims off. Okay, a little secret here. I'm pretty positive, yep. I was going to say, I'm pretty positive, just having done this for a long time, I knew see that red line right there? It extends into the door, so I need to trim that little piece off. TR, enter, enter. You never would have known that was there unless you knew to look for it, but I knew to look for it, and now that piece is the way it needs to be. Now TR, enter, enter. What I mean by my block is protected from trimming now is because it's in a block, it's glued together, and I'm in the trim command right now, and do you see how nothing happens to that block when I select it for trimming, right? The only way I could actually alter this block now would be to delete it or to double click on it and go into the block editor to fix it, okay? So there's a way to add a door with the wall in place and then to remove the wall, okay? All right. Let's add some windows now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 windows over here. And it does look like I created a window and a window tag here. Let's go and look and see what other sizes of windows I have. Okay. I miss it? Maybe I didn't make it into, yeah, it's a block. There's one window, 60 inches. Oh, I did create both my windows. So actually, I'm pretty good to go on my windows. I'm going to click on this smaller window, click, and I'm just going to keep those 2 blocks right there for me. Okay, so these 2 windows and the window tag, we're going to put those on the window layer. Glazing, that looks good. I'm going to grab this window tag and CO copy. And I'm going to place that window tag above that window. Okay. So I could have, inserting those windows, I could have typed insert, insert, found the window, drug it over here, placed it in the wall. Insert, found the window, place it in the wall. Insert, place it, right? But that would be a lot of moving my mouse all the way over here, finding what I needed, bringing it back over here, right? Instead of, if I insert them one time kind of down here near my drawing, I now, having them here, I can just copy them into place, right? It's the same block. It doesn't matter how many times I copy it. I can reuse them over and over again. There's nothing wrong with that. So for me, right, and I'm actually going to grab these and move those, M for move those down over here as well. For me, you'll normally, when I work in AutoCAD, you'll see kind of off to the side somewhere, I'll place a bunch of blocks that I'm using or different things that I'm using, so that instead of having to go all the way up here and find it, I can just come down here, CO, keystroke it, and move it into place. Copy, move it into place. Copy, move it into place. Okay. All right. So now it's time for me to get some of these windows in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some geometry to first mark where these need to go, and then I'm going to copy the windows into place. Okay, so the center line of this first window is 7'6" off that exterior wall, and I'm going to use the offset command and I'm going to offset this exterior wall to get a little mark where that needs to go. So offset, enter, 7'6", enter. I'm going to offset this outer wall, click, click, oop, click, click, and now I know where that window needs to go. Okay, another window is going to occur 11 foot and 1 1/4 inch from that first window. So offset, enter, 11 foot 1 1/4 inch. Click, click. Okay, there's my second window. My next window is 11'4" from this line. So offset, enter. Whoop. Offset, enter. What was that? 11'4". 11. Whoops. Getting ahead of myself. 11'4". Enter. There's my third window, and that looks about right. It's occurring right. I'm looking at these. My last window in the storage room is 15 foot and 3/4 inch from that one. So O for offset, enter, 15 foot and 3/4 inch. So 3/4 inch, I could type 3/4, 3/4, but I could also type 15.75, enter, because 0.75 is 3/4 inch, right? So click, click, and that looks great. Okay. So I have my windows all lined out on this side, so I can place them, and then we'll place the windows on the other side. This is a double window. So we have a double window, single window. So I'm going to grab these two windows I'm going to be using, CO, copy, move them up here. Okay, these are all going to be vertical, so I'm going to rotate them. RO, enter. I'm going to do them at the same time. Why not, right? Rotate, turn my ortho F8 on, click. Okay, looks good. I'm going to double click on this piece of text right there. Okay, and right now that text is, we'll say it's running horizontal, right? But we actually want our text to be vertical so that it's readable on the drawings. So I'm going to click, click on that attribute, and I want to show you something. We have attribute where you can define it, right? I could name this window D, okay, which it's going to be. Or no, actually the double one will be D. But I can go to text options back here, and you're going to see that I can change kind of some of the physical qualities of this text. Great. Under properties right here, okay. Oh, whoops. Where's my rotation? Sorry. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I thought it was under properties, but it's under text options. Under text options, you're going to see you have the rotation option. I'm going to change this to 0 and hit apply. And if it's vertical like this and I change that to 0, then it will stand vertical. Okay. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. Click, click. I'm going to change my text, the rotation to 0. Okay. So actually now both of these blocks, they're vertical, right? I've changed the orientation of the text so it's readable, it's vertical. Now I just need to place them. So this window right here, I'm going to copy it, CO, enter. I'm going to copy it from the midpoint, click, because this line right here is the midpoint marker of that window, so click. Great. Okay, and then I have this window right here, CO, copy, click the midpoint. I'm going to come down here and click to place that one. Okay, now I have a single and then I have a double. Okay, oop, escape, CO, I'm going to grab my single, enter, click, F8, turn that off, click and place that right there, click, escape, and then I have one more double window right here, CO, enter, grab my last window, enter, grab the midpoint, click, zoom down here, zoom in, click, and I've got my windows placed. Okay. Now, if these other windows on the other side were in the same spot, which are they? I don't think they are. Nope, 5'2", 7'6". If these windows had been in the same spot, I could have mirrored these windows over to the other side, right? I also could still mirror them and move them around if I wanted, but I actually kind of just think placing them is going to be easier in this case. So I use these lines. I don't need them anymore. I'm going to hit delete, grab that, hit delete, okay? And I'm going to grab these windows and M for move. M, enter. I'm going to move them to the other side because I'm going to use them over here now. And my final step for each of these windows is to trim out the wall behind them, okay? So L for line, enter. And I'm just going to turn on my ortho F8, click, escape, draw a line. Enter, initiate the line command again. Click, enter. Click, click, escape, enter. Click, oops, I don't think I got it. Oop, my endpoint. Click, click, escape, enter. Click, click, escape, enter. Click, click, escape. And I've got another set right here, enter. Right, click, click, escape, enter. Click, click, escape, and there we go. Okay. Again, right, I could have copied those lines down, but it was easier for me just to hit enter in between each of those line commands, right, to be pretty quick about it. Now I need to trim all that stuff off. And again, this is a block, and so it's protected from being trimmed, so I feel free to trim all the way around it without worrying about trimming out any pieces of the window. So TR, enter, enter. And really I'm not gonna escape from the command. I'm just gonna start trimming. Okay, and then I'm going to make sure that I trim from that windowsill up there all the way down to that windowsill. And I'm doing that to capture all those pieces of that wall. Click. Okay, I mouse down here, I grab it, make sure I get into that windowsill, click, click, and it's all trimmed out, right? Click. Okay. I could do it twice if I needed to, but my point here is I want to get those little pieces that might kind of hang out there, okay? Okay, mouse down here. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now those walls, you see how they very nicely live that way? If I deleted this block, there they are, right? I'm going to hit undo and bring it back. Now I have all my windows on one side. It's time for me to place my windows on this side. I'm going to mirror these to get the attribute on the other side. So MI, enter. There we go, right? Your intuition about things is really going to tell you what commands you need to use, right? If you're like, oh, I need a mirrored copy of those. Hey, guess what? We can use the mirror command. Hey, I wish I could copy that to, you know, do whatever I need to do. Hey, guess what? We have a copy command. Oh, I need to move that. Move it, right? Oh, I need to stretch that out a little bit. Oh, we'll stretch it. Not even just thinking about the commands themselves, but just things that your mind says, oh, hey, move that, stretch it, alter it, rotate it, delete it, right? We have all those commands in AutoCAD, so whatever your intuition is, just do it. There's no really wrong answer here, right? So now I need to place these windows on this side. So I'm going to offset this upper wall again to place those. Okay, so this first one is 5'2" off that outer wall. Offset 5'2", enter. Click, click. The next one is 15 foot from that one. So offset, enter, 15 foot. Click, click, there we go. And the next one here is 15 foot from that one. Offset, enter, 15 foot, enter. There we go. And there we go, that's all we need. So we have double, double, double on that side. We're gonna use this double window here, CO, copy. I'm gonna grab it, enter. Grab the midpoint here, click. And here's the thing. It's all the same window, so I really don't even need to exit out of my command. I just need to copy, copy, copy. Okay. Click once, mouse down, pan down. Click a second time, pan down. Click a third time, click, escape. And I've got my windows placed. I delete all of those. I delete these because I don't need them anymore. And now it's time for me to trim. So L for line, enter. I do the same thing I just did. Click, click, escape. Now I could also grab this and copy. CO, enter, right? Click, click, pan down, click, click, pan down, click, click, right? So I could have just copied that as well. Now it's time for me to trim one last time. TR, enter, enter. I trim those off. I trim those off. I'm not sure I got all that, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. Trim. Trim. Looks good. Trim those out. Trim those out. There we go. Okay. So I have all of my walls. I have my windows in here. Let's create this millwork line, right? Probably shelving. So I'll do that. I need to create a new layer to do that. So layer properties. I think I turned my layer properties off. There we go. I'm going to create a new layer. We'll call this A-FLOR-CASE. Okay. A-floor-casework. These are, we don't know what this is. This could be a countertop. This could be cabinets in there. It could be shelving, whatever it is, right? I don't know what it is. But it's some type of casework, millwork, right? So cabinets or countertop or something like that. And so those items are put on a layer called A-floor-case because casework generally sits on the floor, okay? So A-floor-case, I'm going to make it a magenta layer, and we're going to add a line weight to it, or excuse me, a line type, because it's dashed, right? You see how it's dashed? So our line type here, continuous. Ooh, what command do I have active? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we want to hit load. We'll find the dashed line type, hit OK, click on it, hit OK, and there we have it dashed. I'm going to click on it and make it my current layer so I can use it to draw. And actually, I think what I'm going to have to do is offset and then match that to that layer. So here, this is 1'4". I'm going to use offset, enter. 1'4", that's 16 inches, right? 16, enter. I'm going to click, 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 right? I'm just going to get this going. And okay, it's a little bit of a mess, but we can use our modification commands to clean it up. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use fillet to clean up these corners. So F for fillet, enter. And I'm going to make sure my radius, click on radius, make that 0. Ooh, bless you. 0, enter. Click, click, that made that nice, right? Enter again, because I'm just reinitiating the same command. Click, click, enter, click, click. It's lovely. And now I'm going to extend this down to here. So EX, enter, enter. There we go. And then we're going to finish this off with a line. So L for line, and there we go. Now I've created this one on the right layer, but the other ones are not on the correct on a correct layer. So I'm going to match properties. MA, enter. Click on the magenta line. Click, 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 click. There we go. Okay. We'll change our LT scale to make those dashed lines look the way they should. All right. But for now, at least it's drawn in there. That looks good. Okay. Give me a second here. And I'm going to, let me see if I can find the furniture here. Hold on one second. Okay, so here's our furniture. And a couple things here. I want to place the furniture. These are actually just kind of loose drawings. You would all make these into blocks. Let me just say that, okay? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the time to make these into blocks, but you would do that, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create this little composition right here. And I'm going to create this little composition, and I'm going to show you a couple things. So RO, enter. I'm going to rotate this little guy. And then I'm going to place the desk and the file in there. So the desk, is there a place where it shows how far apart they are? Maybe not. Okay, so the desk, M for move, enter. I'm going to move this over to here. Okay. And then I'm going to move it again. M for move, enter. I'm going to move it over, let's say 2 inches, enter. And M for move down, 2 inches, enter. That looks good. And then I'm going to put the file cabinet next to it. M for move, click, F8. So here's a good time to use from. So I could write shift, right click, from this point over, let's say 4 inches, enter. And then I have a chair right here. So we'll just take our little chair, M for move. You'll see me moving things over to generally where they need to be and then grabbing it again, and M for move, we'll move it down, 4 inches, enter. So I have my desk, my file cabinet, I have my partition, and I have my chair. Let's put a computer and a phone there. Okay, so we come down here, I grab my computer, CO, copy, and we'll just kind of center those things. That looks good. We have our phone on our desk. Go back and get that. CO, copy. Looks good. Ooh, there we go. All right, all ready to work. We have a phone, we have a computer, looks good. Okay, so one thing you could do, I know that you're gonna have this composition as well that doesn't have this full partition. One thing, this is a pretty good composition to block again. This would be a good place to make a nested block, right? If this were a block, and 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 that were a block, and this were a block, if you created this and then blocked them all together, that'd be pretty nice because they would all be glued together. So when you copy them around your office space, then they maintain their integrity, right? They're always the same distance apart. You don't have to worry about one thing moving and another thing not. You don't have to worry about something not getting copied, okay? But before I do that, I'm going to mirror this. So this is a good thing to mirror, right? I've created this composition. Everything is where it needs to be. I'm going to mirror it across here, and it looks like mirror it again to get the opposite composition. MI, enter. So I grab this, enter. I'm going to mirror it about the midpoint of that partition. So click, click, enter. Looks good, but now I need to mirror it again so that this stuff is all on that side. So MI, enter. We'll grab this all again. I can select these things that I kind of missed, right? Enter. And I'm going to mirror it about the center point of that partition. So click. Okay, click again, and it says erase source objects, yes. All right, that looks good. And now I just need to move it over so that this file is in line with the edge of that desk. So we'll grab all these things again. M for move. And I'm really just gonna move it using that intersection. So click, and oh, missed a little piece, didn't I? M for move. There we go. Okay, so now I have my piece of furniture. I'm gonna block it. And in this case, I'm just gonna, let's see, go to here. I'm going to create just a regular old block, okay? And I'm doing that, I think you have to think about what your intention is. If you think you'll use this entire composition 400 other times and, 10 other drawings, you could make a W block out of this. So my plan would be to W block out each of the individual pieces, so I could use the individual pieces as W blocks. But within this one file, maybe this is the only file where they come together in this one composition, right? And so I'm just going to create a W block because I don't think I'll use this composition in another file, okay? So we'll call this furniture block. Pick point will be the center of that partition. Select objects. I'm going to grab all of these. Enter. Okay. I'm going to grab this block and I'm going to put it on the furniture layer. Look how nice and pretty that is, right? And now I'm going to place it. Okay, so I'm going to look at my dimensions here, and I'm going to offset again to get these placed. So this first one is going to be 14 foot 4.5. offset, 14 foot, 4.5. And that's going to be that upper line. Looks good. Then I don't have any more of those on this side, but I do have 1, 2, 3 of them on this side. And I'm just going to offset over here, get all the, you know, where all these need to be placed over here. So offset, this first one will be 14 foot, 4.5. Looks like they're lined up with each other. So I probably could mirror it, but just in case one's different, I'm not going to. 15 foot, offset, enter, 15 foot, enter, click, click. And then the next one is 15 foot again, so click, click. Now I'm going to grab my furniture, M for move, enter, grab that midpoint. And now you see I can move them all at the same time, right? That was so easy. I place it on the wall, click. I can get rid of that piece I used to place it. Okay. Nice layout. Everybody gets a little window. It's lovely, right? And now I'm going to mirror this. Okay, so MI, enter, select the objects, enter. And if I remember right, I think this door is a midpoint. If it wasn't, I can move it. Yeah, that was the midpoint. If it wasn't the midpoint, I'd have to move this block into place. But this looks good. I'm going to grab it, CO, enter, copy, click, click, click. Look at that. I would delete these. Hit save, and I've got most of the outline of my office done. Okay, you would create another block that looks like this, of course, and we'll just place it in the corner. CO, copy. I could now explode this block and just make, we've got just the one side of it. So I'm going to grab all this stuff, hit delete. I'm going to grab this stuff, hit delete. Grab this. Well, actually, I'm going to do L for line, and I'm going to trim off the end of this piece right here. So trim, TR, enter, enter. Delete this stuff. Okay, delete that. Delete this piece. Trim, TR, enter, enter. Trim that off. That looks good. Okay. And now I'm going to make a block out of this. Block, small furniture block, pick a point. I should have maybe left that line there so that I could pick, so that I could have picked a nice insertion point. Anyway, pick point. Oop, I'm stuck. What just happened? There we go. Pick point. Well, I think I'm just going to hopefully be able to get an intersection between that and that. There we go. There's my insertion point. Select my objects. Enter. OK. And now I have this block here. OK. MA, enter, match properties, click. Now I have this block that's going to go in this corner. We'll mirror it over and get that block that goes in that corner. So M for move, or I can grab it and grab my insertion point, grip, click, bring it over and put it in the corner. Look how nice that comes together. MI, mirror, enter, select, enter, click, click, enter, and there we go. Okay. So we have our furniture now in place. And we have a few things left. We're going to add some dimensions, some text, and then we'll put it on a page with the title block and print it. Okay. So I'm going to move quickly through the dimensions. My gosh, where does all of our time go, right? We're just happily drafting away. I'm going to add our dimensions here. Okay. I'm going to come over to home, change my layer. Look how wonderful I'm being with my layers. Not usually this great with them. Dimension layer. Okay, now it's time for me to add dimensions. And I had earlier created a dimension style and all that good stuff. So really now it's just about me putting these same dimensions on here, not really worrying about creating the dimension style. So I'm going to go to annotate, and I'm going to click on I think I'm just going to do an aligned dimension, okay? And I'm just going to start at the top and work my way around clockwise, okay? So my first dimension is going to go from here to there. Drag it out. Looks good, okay? I'm going to click on baseline now. And you see how I get that second line above there, okay? And it's going to go to the midpoint of this partition here, it looks like. So click, escape. I'll get it pretty close. 9 foot 1.5, 9 foot 7. Oh, because it, no, yeah, I think this needs to be a little bit further from the wall. That's why my dimension isn't matching quite up. I'm going to M for move. We'll move it over. We'll move this over 6 inches, enter. There we go. We'll do the same thing here. M for move over 6 inches, enter. There we go. All right, so now I need to continue this dimension. So I'm going to click on here and choose continue, right? And we're going to hit this midpoint, click, and then we're going to hit this endpoint, click, and we have our first string of dimensions. Okay, I'm going to hit enter and reinitiate the dimension command, and I'm just going to, whoops, just kidding. I'm going to choose aligned, and I'm going to create another dimension here, my 6 inches. And I'm going to click over here on this dimension to line it up with that one. Click. Okay. I've got a couple of small dimensions in here that you can hit, right? We'll do our dimensions over here. We're going to hit our, we're going to get our dimensions for our openings and walls, and then we'll do our furniture and then our overall. Okay. So we have our, we'll do a linear dimension this time. Not that there's really a huge amount of difference between the two, but I'm going to click here, grab the midpoint of my window, which is the midpoint of this tag, so that my dimension doesn't kind of go through my tag. Okay. Dim continue. So continue. And I'm just going to hit all of these openings. So click, mousing down, panning, click again, mousing down. I'm going to hit the endpoint. Oh, look how nice that is, right? All right, dim continue, or excuse me, baseline. I'm going to hit enter because I don't want it to baseline from that third one. I want it baseline from here, so click. Okay, this next one is going to go from here to my partition, so click, escape, and dim continue again. There we go. We're going to hit all of our furniture now, our partitions. So there's one there, there's one there, click, and then we're going to hit the endpoint, click. They look wonderful. I have one more dimension here, and that is the overall. Okay, so baseline again, enter, click on the baseline where I want it to occur, and I have that goes all the way down to there, escape, and I have my third dimension. Okay, I'm going to stop with dimensions there. I think that kind of explains how to go about it, right? You can do the other side in the bottom. But what I am going to do is add the text in here now, main floor area and storage. But you'll want to hit all of these dimensions. That's an angular dimension, right? We've got all these nice dimensions here. And I'm going to add my text now. So I'm just going to choose single line text, and I'm going to click here, making sure my text style that I generated is there. So I'm going to click, hit enter, and I'm going to type in storage, enter, enter, move it over just a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to type in main floor area, TEXT, enter, justify J, enter, MC, enter, middle center. Okay, I'm going to click, enter, and main floor area, enter, enter. Looks good. M for move if I want to, get it where it needs to be. Okay, so our drawing's looking good. I didn't complete everything, but I think that you all are, after what I've shown here, you're all pretty capable of getting the rest of it done, right? Now it's time for me to put it on a page and to print it. So I have a tab here that's laid out, and it has my 8.5 by 11 inch title block on it. Let me delete my title block out, and I'm going to show you how to get this all going again, okay? Well, in fact, you know what I should do? I shouldn't delete that out. I should just create a new page, right? Let's do that. So I'm going to go to layout number 2, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose page setup manager. And I'm going to click whatever size page you've defined. So this one is actually for an 11 by 17, so you'll do it for 11 by 17. But mine is 8.5 by 11 portrait. But I created this by clicking on new. Let's do one for 11 by 17. 11 by 17 portrait PDF. So I choose the size, I choose the orientation, and I choose the printer. Okay, then I'm going to define that. So Adobe PDF. 11 by 17. Extents is great. Center the plot, yes. Portrait, click. LaserJet CTB, yes. Okay, I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to click on that and hit Set Current. You'll see your page size jump, so that means it worked. I don't have an 11 by 17 title block created, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to click on my 8.5 by 11, hit Set Current. See how easy it is to change between page sizes now, right? I'm going to hit close. One thing I want to remind you about, first, we have the page size, the right size. I want to bring in my title block, the text for my title block, and then the third thing, I want to make sure my viewport, which is right here, is on a non-printable layer. So I'm going to click on my viewport, and I believe when we created our layers that I actually created a non-printable layer when I did that. So I drop down, I change it to viewport. Okay, what makes a layer non-printable? Well, it's how it's defined. So if I look at my layer properties dialog box, viewport won't print because I have this printer slashed. Okay. All right, so that's on viewport. It shouldn't print. Okay, so I have my viewport here. I'm going to bring my title block in, and then we'll situate my drawing on there. So I'm going to go to Insert, okay, and I have my 8.5 by 11 inch title block right here. Okay, I'm going to click. I'm just going to bring it down here and place it at the edge of that page. Okay, looks wonderful. Now I want to insert my text for my title block because we created those two things separately. There it is. Click and I place that, and I could now define my attributes. So project name, I'm just going to type this in. It's probably, let me remember which one. Oop. What am I doing here? There we go. Okay, so click, and we've got our course number. This will be Arch 1310. Okay, and I've got my project name, the scale. I'm not sure what scale it's going to be. Oh, project name. Whoops. Forgot what I've named my attributes, haven't I? This is going to be, I think, Salt Lake Community College, the scale, and then we have date. Today is, what is today? The 18th of November. There we go. I'll fill in my scale once I figure out what my scale is. But I have my title block ready to go now. So I use Page Setup Manager to get the page the right size. I then inserted as a block my title block. Okay, now I have my viewport on here. I'm just going to bring it out to the edges of my page here. There we go. Click, click. I'm going to bring my drawing into view here, and I'm going to figure out a scale. Okay, so I click on my, ooh, I should bring my viewport up just a little bit. There we go. I'm going to click on my viewport. I'm going to come down here to my scale. Let's try 1/4 of an inch. Oop, too small, or too big. Let's do 1/8 of an inch. Looks good. Make sure it's centered. Click, click. Just nice drafting habits, right? Click, click out. My page looks wonderful. It has all the things that I need, right? Of course, you'll have a few more dimensions. You'll have an 11 by 17 inch portrait, but now I would Control P everything's set up the way it should, I would preview it and make sure that I didn't accidentally not get my title block or my viewport on a non-printable layer, right? But everything is looking really good. Everything's in the right spot. All the dimensions are looking really nice, okay? So I'm gonna, ooh, I do see one thing. You see that? I didn't trim out all my wall there. There's a little bit hanging out. Let's go take a peek at that. Oh, well, nope, there, ooh, huh. Well, that's an oddity. Anyway, not something I likely, hopefully that didn't happen on all these. Ooh, it kind of did. I'm gonna have to grab those. So my trim didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. Grab those. For whatever reason, right? So I'm using a blue selection window to grab those pieces I noticed. There's not one on there. I wonder if that middle mullion was just causing it to not trim out correctly. There we go. But I'm glad I caught it, and I only caught it because I saw that weird thickness happening around my window preview, right? And so now it looks more like the way it should, okay? So everything's looking good. I hit OK to print this out. It's going to create a PDF. Now all of you have, I'm going to call it Office Layout. Now all of you have access to Adobe for free. And so you can create Adobe PDFs, which is wonderful, very easy to use, right? And my file just opened up over here on in my Adobe. And if it had been turned the wrong way, I just want to remind you, you can come over here to Organize, which is this little icon, click on it, and you can orient it whatever way you need it to be, right? So you'll want to do that before you submit it. And I want you to get in the habit of that because, you know, without fail, if you don't know how to do that and you send, you know, something you've drawn to, you know, your supervisor, your boss, whatever, they'll say, hey, you know, that's great, you created that PDF. Can you just rotate it the right direction so I can read it? Because they may or may not be in the office. Maybe you're sending it to a client who doesn't have access to Adobe and can't rotate it. So make sure your drawings are readable the way they, you know, the orientation they should be on your screen so that anybody that receives them or if you print them, they can view them the right way, okay? All right, so that's how you're going to finish your layout assignment. Does anybody have any questions on that? Well, that was easy, right?